I just want to point out just a difference in ideals and positions on the psychological development of youth and adults. Though there are ideals to support Marina's claims about young adults being incapable of dealing with the emotional distress rather than an adult, but there are other theories about development, cognitive development, such as Piaget and Freudian analysis of the brain, which state that children actually in the younger ages are the ones who undergo more psychological development and are more stable in their teen years, later to be fully aware of their actions once they're adults. Another thing is that even some adults have problems coping with traumatic events, and it would be unfair to say that an adult and a minor who are at the same psychological level need to have different requirements when dealing with such a thing as abortion. Also, minors shouldn't be forced to continue a pregnancy rather than be given the option of abortion just because of legal guardians' beliefs or parental beliefs. According to Pro-Choice America, parental involvement bills pose a threat to the health of young women, and restrictive abortion laws actually worsen family communication than promote it. This does so by just creating a separation within the family in having to deal with, on a large scale, the idea of one of the family members having to undergo a procedure which is life-altering, although the consequence of keeping the child would also be a very intense long-term commitment. Also, minors should maintain their right to independently decide whether or not they are prepared for a child. Creating a parental consent for minors and their abortions would lead them to most likely decide that they can't go against the beliefs of their family, leaving them unable to cope with dealing with a child or even the possibility of adoption, having to tear the bonds that they've created after 9 months of pregnancy. And 5% of women obtaining abortions experience a complication, and the risk of death associated with abortion is about 1/10 that associated with childbirth. This just underscores the fact that when abortion is given at the accurate time, which could be much more easily made if adolescents and minors were just given the opportunity to just think for themselves and undergo procedures that they feel are best for them, there would be no serious risk that would jeopardize their health in any way whatsoever. Also, parental consent delays the abortion process in general, just due to having to waiver for minors' rights by using a judicial bypass in which they wouldn't need parental consent. And legal abortion is usually defined in terms of the mother's convenience or health, and these definitions are objective in that specific times parameters are set, outside of which an abortion cannot be legally made, cannot be legally done. And all of this is just implicating the fact that the longer a person waits to have an abortion, the more complications they risk undergoing. And just with judicial bypass, it may give minors the opportunity that they are stripped of with any sort of law needing parental consent, and just the judicial process in which you would need to be there for days or weeks. It would just prolong the pregnancy and lead to more serious effects on the woman's body if she were to decide with the family whether or not they is capable of undergoing the abortion or not. Also, when teens know that they are forced by law to tell their parents or get permission before obtaining care, they are less likely to access reproductive health services in a timely manner, which just creates more problems and complications with any possible abortion. And although abortion is extremely safe, it is safest when completed earlier in pregnancy, and delays caused by these laws can result in increased health risks, such as blood clotting or blood loss, or even death in time. Another thing is that minors should ultimately have their control of their bodies, as they are human beings just as all others are. And even without state laws, most parents do know about, at least one parent knows about what their child is doing. So if it were up to the law to enforce parental consent, it obviously wouldn't make a difference if most parents really do know about what their kid is doing. And according to the state's Chief Justice, Ronald George, the majority noted in a 1997 Supreme Court ruling that a series of California statutes specifically allowed minors to make independent decisions about their own medical care, which would go contrary to the affirmative beliefs, because if they in fact have the right to provide their own consent to medical releases or medical analysis, they should have the right to perform an abortion whenever they feel is best. Thank you.